The speed of simplicity can be unattractive to some people, primarily because you're left thinking, is that it? There's got to be more to it, right? Well, one of the things we can tend to underestimate is the value of speed. The speed of simplicity is pretty sneaky. And I look at that when you take into account the basic elements of life that you might feel like you're trying to get a hold of, trying to get a handle of, trying to get a hang of, try to master. And when you look at different plans we can put together for our lives, we can be very intricate, we can be very complex, we can be very sophisticated, which is good. But oftentimes when trying something new, just the basic path of simplicity could be your best bet. Most importantly, to start actually seeing results, because it seems like that's where the perfectionist can creep in and really slow you down, take you out of the game, right? You don't want to start until things are just right, because who wants to put bad product out there, or bad effort, or bad attempt? So you want to wait until you're all the way ready. As logical as that may seem, in many instances that can slow you down and take you out of the game if you never quite make the time or get around to getting things just quite perfect. It's part of the reason you hear these days that phrase, done is the new perfect, because simplicity is a path to progression. I've even had to look at times in my life where I bucked the trend and didn't agree with this and found myself frustrated because things weren't moving fast enough. And I've seen others do it, which is what makes it easy to talk about. Hopefully if you're listening here now, you can relate. You might have some big plan to set out, some major New Year's resolution. This is the year you're going to do it, right? You're going to make that change in whatever area of your life. The spoke wheel. This is going to be that year. And we may come up with a grandiose plan and get hung up in the details of how we're going to execute, and we don't take the first step. Once the, fancy new gym dies down, we're going to join after the crowds make their way out of there in the first 6 weeks of the year, right? Those good intentions can throw you off and set you back. But if you just take that first step, in this case, in this example, if the New Year's resolution is physical fitness, just taking that first step outside, put one foot in front of the other, and that'll get you going and get you moving and get you started to get the basics in place, developing those habits that are going to support you once you get to that high-end facility that you can't wait to join. And so many times I see it with my peers, other business owners. It's easy to come up with the perfect plan, but if that perfect plan has to be perfect before you start, that perfect plan may only stay a perfect plan and it's never put into place. And so that's where we have to recognize what our own tendencies are and be honest with ourselves and say, hey, you know what, if I just need to go with something simple to get me started, then I can take things from there and progress as needed. And that could be any particular journey that you're on. I use that as a way to quick start the path to get going. I can see instances where, a new business owner is trying to map out a plan for, how they're going to go forth and conquer, to be successful and start to make that impact. But we all have ideas of what's going to get us there. So sometimes we can over-architect or over-engineer what it's going to take to win. And that's not always that necessary. Sometimes it's just sticking to the basic blocking and tackling of business. Sometimes in sports, you see it's the coaches that have the simplest game plan that have the highest rate of success. You don't necessarily need all those additional trick plays just to pull fast on another team to get those extra few points. A few basic things mastered will leave the competition beaten pretty easily. Once mastered, you can tell the opposition what you're going to do in advance, and they still can't stop. And that's really one of the things you want to look to do is master the setup that you have and the plan that you have for your own life, right? Whether you're looking at fitness, enhancing relationships, getting more a positive, rewarding experience out of your career. All these things, you can take a few simple tasks and put them in place to really make advancement. So for any of you that may find yourself in a place in life where you're looking to get started with something, maybe you're looking to start that new business and get that website going as an example, but you haven't been to the photo shoot yet, and you promised yourself you'd launch the site by the first of the month, just take a quick selfie in good, clean lighting and run with that for now. Simplicity is a path to speed and a path to progress. You can always upgrade and enhance it later. And so sometimes with the things we want to do, even the best laid plans, we can accidentally sabotage because we can get in our own way naturally, especially when we want to over-control things that we may not even be the best suited to have that amount of control over to begin with. I can even think of the first foray I had into business. I remember, seeing an opportunity that interested me. I saw a lot of potential. And when I elected to kind of get things going, I remember telling someone that was introducing me to the opportunity, said, this is how I'm going to do things, okay? I'm not going to do that part or that part, but this is how things are going to go. And, I'm just going to make this thing happen. Little did I know at the time, my complex plan of what I was and wasn't going to do that was pretty mapped out was already over-architected because I really just had two steps. Number one was to be coachable, and number two was to follow a preset plan, which was also very basic. But it was me that chose to complicate things and look for more efficient ways to do things. Little did I know, having zero experience in business, these things would hinder me and frustrate me when I didn't get the results I wanted. And that's what kept that first experience very interesting. Very much of an emotional roller coaster and a wild ride with the results that you get when you overcomplicate things and you don't ever give yourself an opportunity to gain traction and to build consistency. The consistency that's easily adopted with a simplified plan. And so I found that overcomplicating things early in the game can be a huge detriment to your business, can be a huge detriment to even just reaching personal goals. And so now I found myself in a privileged position to be able to help other business owners, right? Help them get on the fast path to success by looking at their business in a whole new way, or to look at elements of their business that they could make more efficient, that they could outsource, that they could automate. But it's funny sometimes because it's far too often that there are instances where if someone's got a plan laid out that they want to run with, the plan can be beautiful in concept, but a little more sophisticated in its execution. And sometimes it's a little heartbreaking when you have to tell people, hey, I love that beautifully artistic creation that you've put together. But you're just looking to get from point A to point B, right? Yep. Okay. Shortest path is a straight line. Let's look at something a little bit more simplified as our approach to get there, as opposed to the more scenic route and the winding roads. We typically reserve that to once we've graduated a little bit and have the time to take to get to the next destination. Earlier in the game, you want to be able to get to those milestones. You want to get those early wins under your belt and stay charged up to continue charging ahead. And so there are those instances where you see that. And it reminds me of myself when I used to think about that quite a bit, to be in that position where I wanted to be the one with the master plan, ever so sophisticated and creative, and literally found that I was doing nothing more than spinning my wheels and frustrating myself. And that's when it hit me that it doesn't matter the type of business or what arena of life you're looking at. If it's a new venture for you, a new journey, a new quest, our ambition can occasionally get in our way if we overcomplicate things, if we take that ambition and try to map out 28 different ways and paths to get from point A to point B, because we don't necessarily need that level of complexity when we're just getting started. Again, speed being part of the secret sauce. When you look at simplicity, and rather simplicity being the ticket to get the speed that you want to accelerate from where you are now towards where you want to go. Give that some thought next time you give yourself a chance to start a new opportunity, a chance to grow, a new experience to enhance your life. Simplicity might be just what you need to get the most out of that experience. Thank you guys for joining this episode. Appreciate you tuning in to learn how to see better. It's the only podcast out there that will improve your vision the longer you listen. This is your host, Drew Davis. Can't wait to catch you in the next episode.